So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can pick the perfect age domain for your industry. It doesn't matter if you're going to be setting up an e-commerce store, a rank and rent website, an affiliate website. Everything that I'm going to show you in this video will apply. One thing that I will be using today is the age domain checklist. If you do want access to this, make certain to click the link down below and sign up to the mailing list. So a few things that we're going to be checking in this video is trademarks, which is super important, especially if you are going to be investing a lot of money in age domains. We're also going to be looking at hidden backlinks. So a lot of times what you will typically find is when you are purchasing a domain, people will only be showing you DR metrics, but there's a few extra juicy links that we're going to actually go over, and I'm going to show you how you can find those links as well. Step number 3, we're also going to be looking at EAT signals and also social profiles. If we can pick up a domain that already has some of that, we're going to be on to a winner. And step number 4, I'm going to be showcasing what the thought process is like, especially when it comes to myself, when it comes to picking the perfect age domain.
So this is the checklist that I will be referring to throughout this video. So if you guys haven't, go and get yourself a copy of this. It's completely free. Head over to the link. It is in the description. It'll be the first email that you guys get. But even before we look at this checklist, we want to make certain that any new industries that we are stepping foot into, potentially if we're looking at buying an age domain for the rank and rents, or if some of you guys are doing affiliates or whatever, we need to make certain that if we're trying to monetize it, it obviously makes sense and it's also profitable. Now, obviously, we don't have a magic ball, but we can also predict a lot of these things. So, if also another added tip to this is if you guys are looking into a fresh domain, obviously follow this along. This will be a really good guide. However, in some cases, you might not necessarily want to step into a fresh industry. What I recommend is if you guys already have potentially rank and rent, or maybe some of you guys have an SEO agency and you're trying to get into more rank and rents, look at your pre-existing client base for your SEO agency and kind of figure out which one of your clients is paying you well and it's quite a profitable industry. So for example, if you have a client that is a law firm, why don't you just build out a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth website within that space, potentially going after certain areas of the country or potentially certain towns within a state if you're in America? Because a lot of the big affiliate website owners and a lot of the rank and rent guys that I know, that I mastermind with and I network with, that's what they're doing. They're not necessarily always going after new websites. They're trying to rank or take over positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Google. So that's another way that you can also scale out rank and rents as well. But let's say you're trying to go into a new industry, you don't know what you're doing, and you are trying to figure out if it is a profitable industry. Now, one thing that I look at is obviously cost per click. One thing to bear in mind is the higher the cost per click, it's obviously going to be a lot more lucrative. However, the con of that is that it's going to be a little bit harder to rank for. But what we'll try to do is obviously try and find a middle ground, right? So obviously what I've done here is I've just headed over to Ahrefs. I've plugged in Yellow Pages because that's probably like one of the biggest directories. And what you can obviously do is you can then sort by cost per click. There's multiple ways that you can obviously do this. You can sort by cost per click, so you can do something along the lines of like anything from, let's say, $90 to, let's say, $290. You can obviously go higher, you can go lower. But you've obviously then get greeted by a load of branded keywords, so like FedEx and West Lebanon. But if you actually start to look through some of these keywords, what you will typically find is you'll get some keywords that stick out. So if we start taking a look here, what we will find is, for example, is this a brand? Putnam Orthodontics. So Putnam, I believe it's it's an area in New York. Let's just see here, New York. Yes, I believe it is a town in northern Washington County, New York. Yep. So you could potentially look to build out a orthodontics website, and also it gets a fair amount of searches as well. 400 searches, 0 keyword difficulty. So in my head now, my next thing would be, okay, how many new clients could I get for that key or for that industry within that area, and also how much is an orthodontics case. Now, with the rise of AI, we can obviously ask ChatGPT how much does it cost for an orthodontics checkup, and we can kind of figure out if it is worth actually going into this industry. So what I'll do now is I'll pause the video for just a second, I'll load up ChatGPT, and I'll also show you the prompt that I will be using. So this is the prompt that I've used. It's very, very simple. I'm looking to set up a rank and rent website for orthodontics. How much do orthodontics in America charge on average per client? Now, the reason why I've picked in America is because obviously in the UK we've got something called the NHS, and these prices, they're actually a little bit lower, and also the government pays for them. So in dentistry in the UK, it's not so much as lucrative as it is in America. But let's take a look here. So average metal braces, we've got 3,000 to 7,500. Ceramic braces, we've got 4,000 to 8,500. Lingual braces, they are 8 to 10. Invisalign is 3 to 7, right? This already, it's sounding really lucrative. This would be something that in the back of my head now, when I do go into ODYS, their website, I would be looking at potentially acquiring a dentist related website, or a dentist related age domain, or the wider spectrum would be potentially a medical related website. So that's kind of what I have in my head, right? So that's obviously one way. It literally took us minutes. Obviously the prompt there, if you guys do want to use this, is I'm looking to set up a rank and rent website for orthodontics. How much do orthodontics in America charge on average per client? That's very simple prompt. You don't need to do anything crazy. Another way that you can obviously find different industries is if we just remove cost per click, right? And if we go back to show results, so we're back on Ahrefs and we're looking at all of the keywords that Yellow Pages ranks for. What we then want to do is, where it says more filters, what we're going to do is we're going to do keyword, and we're going to include near me, right? And this will, a lot of the times, it will actually show us a lot of near me related articles. So then we've obviously got a load of different pages that we can obviously have websites built for. So for example, we've got Jewish accident lawyers near me. So you could build out a law website. You've got black accident lawyers near me. Again, another law related website. Let's take a look here. Let's see if there's anything else. Ventilation services near me. So this is kind of like HVAC. So again, HVAC, really lucrative. Water remediation near me. So again, like anything above like a 30 cost per click, or anything like between like 30 to like 200 to 250. Like those are the sweet spots. Again, we could actually use this exact same prompt, right, and then just swap it out for water remediation. So if we just swap out orthodontics, and we'll do water remediation and average per client. Obviously this is going to vary depending on the type of the service, but again, like you're looking at average cost for a minor water damage 1,000 to 2,500, moderate water damage 2.5 to 5, severe water damage 5 to 10, complete restoration 10 to 20,000. Now, business hat coming back on, right? I would rather build out a website just going after complete restoration and severe damages, because this is where the money lies. Like this is like where I would be thinking, right, okay, can I get a age domain that's more talking about like home repair, and then rehash that website and basically turn it into more of a water remediation type website. That's what I'm thinking in the back of my head right now. So it's also important that you guys actually see the thought process of how I'm looking to plan out a website, because what a lot of people do is they'll think, right, okay, plumbing gets a lot of searches, I'm going to go after plumbing. Now, the issue you do have with plumbing websites is obviously somebody might phone in for like a leaky tap, and a leaky tap to repair that's like $50. You're not going to be earning the big bucks when it comes to actually doing something like this. This is a lot more like, there's a lot more thought process going into this. We're actually thinking, right, okay, how can we monetize our website to the best of our ability? How can we get the best deals? Now, one thing that I will also do further down in the episodes is actually like how to structure a deal as well. But right now, water remediation services, orthodontics, that's looking really good. Obviously, there's a lot of law-related stuff. Law, again, very, very good. AC and plumbing, so again, HVAC, basically. Again, these are all seriously good industries to go into. So now that we actually have a little bit more of like a scope on the style of websites that we're actually thinking of, another thing as well is location. And what I'm going to do is, this is justia.com. And justia.com, this is basically like the yellow pages just for lawyers. So this is kind of like a legal directory. Now, again, what you can obviously do is look at their keywords and sort by cost per click. And find out where the best areas are. So, for example, personal injury lawyer, Denton, that gets 1,000 searches, and the keyword difficulty is not too crazy. So you could go after certain keywords like that as well. So if you guys have potentially picked a niche, also try to find a directory that's only for that niche. So for example, if say for example we wanted to go after Jewish accident lawyers, my next step would be to pick out a complete law related directory website, and then try to figure out which areas in the US are potentially like easy to win areas. So for example, Denton, that might be like really easy. But we're also kind of trying to gauge like the search volume as well. So for example, there's no point ranking a website that is only going to get 5 searches a month and it's literally in the middle of nowhere in America, right? We want to be getting those searches. So this is again another good way of trying to gauge search volume and trying to gauge how many roughly clicks that the website would be earning. Because again, we want to be taking into consideration all of these numbers when purchasing an H domain. So now that we actually have a rough idea of what kind of industries we want to step foot into, so we've got something like medical, we've got law, we've got HVAC, we've got home repair. Those are the type of domains that we're actually looking out for. So the next step is obviously I'm going to use odys.global. You can use GoDaddy domains. You can use GoDaddy auctions. So you can obviously try to find other places that do sell age domains. But for the purpose of this video, I just feel like it's easiest to actually just buy this, because a lot of the checks that I'm actually going to be doing is already been done by the team. But obviously we can filter by industry. So for example, if we wanted to find something in the gardening industry, we can obviously do that. We can find anything in the home industry. So I'm going to try to see if there's any home related articles for the water remediation. We're also going to pick on the left hand side age domains, because obviously they've got premium names, they've got websites. We're only caring about age domains at the minute. We want to be actually putting in the work ourselves. One thing as well to bear in mind is obviously we do have certain websites that aren't in our geo, so we want to be making certain that it is actually in the correct geo that we are trying to rank for as well. So for example, if we take a look here, we have got like a Japanese website. Now, I'm not interested in ranking in Japan, but some of you guys might be. So what I'm looking out for here is a website that ticks off as many of the actual checklist as possible. Now, it's very unlikely for a domain to have literally every single one of these. One thing that I will say from the word go is the legal and compliance section. ODOIS takes care of all of that. Like, I've never had like a trademark issue or a domain blacklist or any legal history for that domain. But if you guys are buying from other vendors outside of ODOIS, this is probably like one of the most important sections that I would be looking at. Make certain to spot check the domain across any trademark websites, so there isn't actually any trademarks. There's a lot of age domains on other marketplaces that look really good, but they're actually trademarked. And if you start to build a website out on that, and let's say you get caught in 6 or 12 months time, that website is gone. Like, you've literally wasted all of your time and effort on that. So if you're not buying from ODOIS, this is definitely like step number one. Make certain that there is no trademark issues. Make certain that there's no blacklists against the domain. You can literally search, is this domain blacklisted? Plug the website in and it will tell you. So if we do Google, is this domain blacklisted? And one thing to bear in mind with like blacklisted websites, typically like they've been spammed via like emails and stuff. So that's another issue on itself. So just check out MX Toolbox. You can obviously check the actual the domain here. For trademarks, you can actually search or actually trademark checker, and obviously there's a UK one, there's a US one. You can just plug in the actual domain and it will tell you. And legal history. Now again, the legal history side of stuff ODOIS takes care of, but what I like to do is check on Wayback Machine. Check to see if the actual domain has had any issues. Let's take, for example, refreshingthehome.com. If we take a look at it on Wayback Machine, what we'll do is fire this domain in, and obviously you'll see the actual history. So one thing that we're looking out for here is if it is potentially being spammed, if the website has potentially hosted any illegal movies, stuff like that. We just want to avoid any of that as much as we possibly can. Again, the good thing about ODOIS is they take care of all of this for you. So whenever you are purchasing a domain like this, what you'll typically find is that they were legitimate websites or legitimate businesses. And you just won't have any legal issues 12 months, 6 months down the line. Like, for example, this website here, it looks like it was literally a refurbishment service or a refurbishment company. So again, like something like this, just super safe. I don't need to worry about it at all. But again, if you guys are looking to buy age domains elsewhere, you definitely can do. Just use that checklist. Highly recommend it. What we then want to do is, obviously, once we've cleared off the legal and compliance, this, to be honest, should probably be like the first thing. But we want to make certain that, about the domain history. So running it through Ahrefs, like what I mentioned at the start of this video, there is obviously tools that we can use to check about the actual domain itself. So, for example, what I would be looking at is actually searching refreshing the home, seeing if there's other mentions of refreshing the home online, if there's Instagram pages, Pinterest pages, if there's other social profiles, YouTube videos. Literally, I'm trying to see if there is any of this, right? Now, obviously, the domain age is important. You can obviously check archive.org or Whois as well to see when it was registered the previous ownership. So we've actually checked this off a couple times on Wayback Machine. So previous ownership, nothing dodgy has happened on this website. So I'm actually really happy about this. Historical content. So again, if I had loaded up that domain on Wayback Machine and there was like foreign language, or potentially at some point the website got hacked, I just wouldn't purchase that domain. Past reputation, so again, past reputation's fine. Past business niches, so ensure the domain's previous niches align with your intended use. Now, if say for example, right, if I had loaded that website up and it was a bakery website, I probably wouldn't look to build out a water remediation website on that domain name. What I would look to do is potentially build out a baking website, like an e-commerce baking website, which delivers 24/7 throughout the US. Something like that, baking website, totally fine. Whereas with this, it's more so to do with like home repair. So water remediation definitely falls under that. Traffic history, so analyze the traffic history. Obviously, we can take a look at that on Ahrefs. And it will tell us like what type of keywords that it used to rank for. Also, one thing that we are going to take a look at is the actual SEO factor. So the backlink profile, one really good tip, especially if you're buying from ODYS. Alex doesn't know about this. Alex is like the owner of ODYS, but if you're looking to purchase age domains, highly recommend you guys or actually don't purchase. It's completely free. But get the LRT Chrome extension. This is completely free. Again, what I will do is in the email, I'll make certain that they actually include this. With LRT, it actually shows a lot more backlinks and referring domains than Ahrefs does. So for example, we actually have 25,000 backlinks and 3,000 referring domains. However, Ahrefs, it's not showing any of that. So the good thing is you can actually get a much higher bang for your buck. You can actually get a lot more links than what you think you're getting if you actually install this Chrome extension. And one thing to bear in mind is that domain was listed for $3,890. So we're actually getting way more than what we actually, or what ODYS think that we're getting. So I'm hoping that they don't actually know about that, or they don't change that in the future, because you can get some real gems. Like for example, here we're only looking at 190 backlinks, 39 referring domains. If we actually load it up on LRT, 37,000 backlinks, 477 referring domains. Now this is actually a slight flaw in Ahrefs, because Ahrefs doesn't crawl the entire web. So you're actually not seeing the bigger picture there. So just bear that in mind when you are looking at purchasing age domains. What I'll do is in the email we'll also include this Chrome extension, so you guys can actually access that. It's completely free. I'm not certain why more people don't use it. Now, going back to the actual SEO factors. So the backlink profile, ODYS, to be fair to them, they do actually do a fairly decent job on the actual picking out the domains and stuff. So if we actually take a look here, referring domains on here, so we've got a link from express.co.uk. Just so you guys know, if you were going to get a link from Express alone, you're probably looking at like $2,500–3,000 just for that one link. Moneysavingexpert.com. This is like in the UK, it is it's owned by Martin Lewis, but it's kind of like a financial website. Again, really expensive to get that link. Countrylife.co.uk. For anybody that's in the UK, they'll know how expensive just those free links alone are. I'm trying not to be biased here, but just those free links, you're probably looking at like maybe £4,500–5,000. And again, this is just a $2,500. So just that one link from express.co.uk, it makes it worth it, right? So the backlink profile, obviously check that. Anchor text diversity. Now, again, with the good thing about purchasing from ODYS is they actually align with a lot of these. So what we're looking at is a lot of branded links. If we've got like a lot of spammy links here, like a lot of spammy anchors, like buy Nike shoes, or a lot of Japanese anchors and it's not a Japanese website, I would be worried. But again, that's a massive checklist. Domain authority, obviously the domain authority on this website here, it's DR 4.6. It's not the highest, but if we were to actually start taking a look at a few different websites, we would very quickly actually find some higher DR websites. So if we were to go back to over here, what we'll try to do is we'll sort by, let's take a look at this website here. The charmingfarmer.com, DR23, it's got a lot more backlinks, it has a lot more referring domains. Obviously the DR is a lot higher. We'll also check this on LRT as well. And what we will find is that we've got a lot more referring domains and a lot more backlinks as well here. So we've got 2,000 referring domains, 363,000 backlinks. And again, Ahrefs just isn't shown anywhere near that. So just grab that Chrome extension. Then going back to here, spam score. So you can take a look at SEMrush for that. Again, typically speaking, all of these checks have been done by ODYS for you. Index pages, check how many pages are indexed in Google. So you can obviously do like site colon and then check the actual amount of pages that are already indexed by Google. What you will typically find is that the home page is still indexed if you're purchasing from ODYS, which is again another important thing. EAT signals. So what I would be wanting to do is take a look and see what other websites are actually mentioning that website that we are actually looking to purchase. So for example, this website, I would be getting this all day long because it's got a YouTube channel, it's got an Instagram, it's got a Pinterest, it's got Twitter, Peerloo, I don't know what that is, but it's another profile. This might be like more of a profile, like maybe a citation. It's got Pinterest, it's got Fred's account, it's got a GoFundMe as well, TikTok account. This domain is actually like a little bit of a steal, if I'm being honest with you, because it's literally got every single social profile. It's got Reddit mentions. It's got a Facebook page. It's literally got everything that I would possibly want in a domain. So there's a lot of EAT signals there to begin with that we don't need to actually worry about. Google penalties. Again, with age domains, ODYS takes care of that. So like, for example, if the homepage wasn't indexed, I would be a little bit worried. But they actually do check for Google penalties. We've already covered the legal and compliance side of stuff. DNS health, check the domain's DNS history for any inconsistencies or downtime. SSL certificate history, server location. So the server location or website location, if, say, for example, if it was a Japanese website, I would look to build out a Japanese website on that. It's a little bit more of a difficult task if you're trying to rank like a .jp in America. DNS health, obviously, a good way of actually checking that is Wayback Machine, because it actually does tell you if the website at any point was potentially 301 to another website. So for example, if everything's blue here, that basically means that it was completely fine, and you don't need to like worry about it at all. So for example, we did have a 403 at some point, but again, a 403 a website might have went down that day. If we try to actually take a look here, let's go back to like 2015. So once it does load, I'm hoping it does. There we go. So as you can see here, it just looks like a regular blog that was being kept up to date, had the gallery. Looked like it was actually a family or owned by a family farm. So that's the type of checks that I would be looking at doing when it comes to the Wayback Machine side of stuff. Brandability, so assess if the domain name is catchy, memorable, and easy to brand. One caveat to this is if you are purchasing an exact match domain. I know that ODYS, they do offer a few exact match domains. So if you did want to go down that route, you might want to ignore that. Keyword richness, determine if the domain name contains valuable keywords relevant to your niche. So again, like what I mentioned before, you can kind of only have like one or the other. So like if you're going to go down a brandability route, like the charming farmer.com might be like an awesome choice. But if you want to rank for, like, for example, HVAC San Francisco, you might want to look to see if there's more like of an exact match or potentially a partial match as well. Length and spelling, prefer shorter, easy to spell domains for better user experience. Now, this is kind of like one of my personal preferences. I necessarily don't always like having numbers in my domain name. I just think that it looks a little bit spammy. But again, that's just my personal preference. Market value, so look at similar age domains to gauge the market value. Like what I mentioned before, if you're gauging the market value, install that Chrome extension, because you're going to get a much bigger bang for your buck by looking at like the actual backlinks and the referring domains that this tells you, not necessarily only looking at Ahrefs. Monetization history, so check if the domain has been previously monetized and the methods used. So again, if, say for example, a domain that you're looking at potentially acquiring was spammed, that's obviously a massive red flag. So we want to take a look at, like, if, say for example, if it was just a blog, that's okay. If, say for example, if it was an e-commerce store and it went bust and now ODYS have acquired it, again, that's fine. Red flags would be like if potentially they have been 301'd to another domain, and that other domain that was 301 into is like a porn website or a CBD or something that's just not related to that domain. That's a massive red flag. So obviously just check for that. Then we've got social media presence. Check if the domain has any associated social media accounts, like with the Charming Farmer. We saw it had Instagram, it had Threads, it had TikTok, Facebook account, it had literally everything. Public perception. So use Google search and social listening tools to determine Google public sentiment around the domain. One thing to bear in mind, this is a little bit more for like the e-commerce guys. If that domain was previously a e-commerce store and it had a, let's say, a Trustpilot or a reviews.io, and the reviews.io or the Trustpilot says it's 1 star out of 5, that's again quite a red flag for myself, especially if I'm looking to build out like a new e-commerce store on that, because again, that domain's kind of like burnt from the word go. But again, with ODYS, they do all of these checks for you, so you don't need to necessarily worry about any of this. The only checks that I would be looking at is obviously like the SEO factors, the EAT signals, and also the social media presence, seeing if that age domain did have social media presence. And obviously if we can acquire the social media accounts, we're off to like a massive winning start. But that has been the ODYS checklist. One thing that I'm going to do now is obviously decide on like maybe a couple different domains, and in the next video I will be on call with a ODYS mentor, and I'll be discussing all of those different domains and which domains I should actually be looking at building out. But that's been the actual checklist. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like, and if you guys do want this checklist, obviously make certain to click on the URL down below and sign up to get the email.
So that's been the video on how to pick the perfect age domain. Remember, like what I said at the start of this video, if you guys want access to the checklist, make certain to click the link down below and sign up to the mailing list. It will be the first email that you get. And if you want access to the entire range of age domains by Odys, make certain to check out their website and sign up. And as always, if you guys have enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like.